Welcome back. In the last session, we looked at what services such as the web and email run on the internet. Now let's discuss what we need to consider with the various ways of connecting to the internet, what jargon you may encounter, and why it's important to know these terms when choosing the way you access the internet. Let's start by taking a look at some of the ways of connecting to the internet. First, we can use a telephone line. We need a device attached to the computer that allows us to use a telephone line. This is called a modem. It comes from the start of the words modulate and demodulate, and it turns the digital signal that the computer understands into an analog signal that can travel down the telephone line. At the other end will be another modem that translates the signal back to a digital signal. Using a telephone line is a very slow way of accessing the internet. Most modern websites won't even load properly over such a slow connection these days. They're just too big and complex for the phone line to handle. At best, the modem can connect at 56 kilobytes per second. I'll explain what this number and kilobits per second means in a minute. DSL and ADSL came along as an upgrade to the old modems. Although they still use the telephone system, they rely on the faster connections that exist between the various larger parts of the system to give speeds of approximately 2 megabits per second at best. But this very much depends on how far you are from the local telephone exchange. Then we have the current broadband offering for the UK, which is advertised as fibre. This uses a much faster fibre optic cable instead of the old copper telephone lines. In most places, this is currently offered as fibre to the cabinet, or FTTC for short, and means that the fibre cable is run from your telephone exchange to the local neighbourhood junction box. In the UK, these are the green boxes found on the pavement. From here to your house, it relies again on the old telephone network. With this system, the typical upper speed is approximately 70 megabits per second. Lastly in this category is the latest offering, which is in the early stages of rollout in the UK, called FTTP, which stands for Fibre to the Premises, and means that you have a fibre optic cable run from the telephone exchange directly into your home. With this, the speed increases to a maximum of 1 gigabit per second. But what if you live out in the countryside, a long way from telephone exchange or even a telephone? Well, you still have a couple of options. First, you could use WiMAX, which basically uses radio signals and offers access to remote locations. It offers speeds of up to 1 gigabit per second. The downside to WiMAX is that the signal can be affected by local geography. If you live at the bottom of a valley, you will have problems getting online. If WiMAX isn't an option for you, then your last option may be satellite internet. This allows internet access from anywhere on the planet as long as you have a clear line of sight up to the satellite. So if you live in a heavily wooded area or even on a heavily overcast day, you may have difficulty getting online. Satellite internet also offers relatively slow speeds by today's standards. It's quicker than the old-fashioned dial-up, but nowhere near as quick as modern broadband. The other problem with satellite internet is latency. This is the time that a message takes to reach its destination. Because the satellites are so high in the sky, it takes a while for a message to get up there and back down, and then for the reply to do the same in reverse. This can mean that things can take a long time to load. There are a couple of new satellite offerings in development. They essentially use much lower orbiting satellites, which allows for quicker access, much more comparable to broadband connections. One such offering is from a company called Starlink, whose CEO is Elon Musk of Tesla car company. You'll need a company to act as a middleman between you and the internet, such as Starlink, that I just mentioned. You connect to this company and then they connect you to the internet. These companies are called ISPs, which stands for Internet Service Providers. They will normally offer a subscription-based model, offering a particular connection method and speed for a fixed period of time from a month to several years. In addition to the subscription, there may be a per minute or even a charge based on the level or amount of usage. It's worth checking through the details carefully so you know what you may be charged for. I have mentioned connection speeds such as 56 kilobits per second for dial-up, 70 megabits per second or even 1 gigabit per second for broadband connections. But what do these mean? First, consider a water pipe. The bigger the pipe, the more water can flow at the same time. The same is true of network speed. The higher the speed, the more data can flow at the same time. The figures give you an idea of how much data can be downloaded from the internet in 1 second, or how big the pipe is. They appear to be the same as file sizes we have looked at in the past, but there is one subtle difference. When talking about file sizes or sizes of hard drives or memory sticks, we are talking about kilobytes and megabytes and gigabytes or terabytes. Now we are talking about kilobits, megabits and gigabits. Notice the difference. One is talking about bytes and one is talking about bits. Let's take a look at the 56 kilobits per second modem. 56 kilobits is 56,000 bits. We divide this amount by 8, which gives us the number of bytes, which in this case is 7,000. To translate this into kilobytes, we divide again by 1024, which gives us the transfer rate of 6.9 kilobytes per second. Doesn't sound as impressive as 56 kilobits per second, does it? Let's jump straight up to the fastest broadband speeds that are being offered at the moment. 1 gigabit per second, giga, in this case, means billion or 1,000 million. So you are looking at transferring 1 billion bits per second. Divide this by 1024, we get 125 million bytes per second, which is 119 megabytes per second. Again, this is still very quick, but it doesn't sound as impressive as gigabit download speed. Don't worry too much about the maths here. Just know that when talking of download and upload speed, ISPs quote speeds in terms of bits per second. But when you're talking about sizes on the computer, such as files and hard drive capacity, we are talking in terms of bytes. Again, I've snuck in a couple of new terms. What does download and upload mean? Well, they are most commonly used when referring to the internet, but the term can actually be applied to many other areas, such as a memory stick. If I transfer a file from the internet, let's say I have bought some show tickets online and I want to save a copy onto my computer, I will download them from the website that I purchased them from onto my computer. Normally your computer will have a downloads folder, and this is where it will store such files by default. The term download can apply to a memory stick or external hard drive as well. If I copy some or all of the contents of my computer, then I am said to have downloaded it to my computer. The reverse of this is true as well. If I take a file from my computer and copy it to a website, the file could be anything. It could be a photograph or proof of address or something like that. The act of copying the file onto the internet is called uploading. Once I've edited this video, for example, I will upload it to the rest of the course for you to watch. The term upload can be used when referring to memory sticks and external hard drives, but this is far less common than using the term download. So with all these terms and confusing details around, it can be difficult to break through the jargon and select the right way for you to connect to the internet. The first thing to do is consider how you will be using it. Will you just be looking at websites? Will you watch any videos such as YouTube or Netflix? If so, how much do you think you might watch? Will you want to watch one thing while the kids watch or stream, as it's called, something else? How many people will be using this internet connection, particularly at the same time? Where will you be connecting from? Do you need to connect from different places or even while you are on the road? Some of these questions you may not know the answers to, but if you take your best educated guess, it will help you build a picture of what type of connection you need, and therefore which ISP or internet service provider you can choose. Many ISPs, particularly for mobile connections, cap their internet allowances. This means that you are given an allowance that you may download each month. ISPs rarely have upload caps. It can be very easy to hit these caps. For example, if you have a cap of 1 or 2 gigabytes but regularly watch videos from the internet, you'll find the cap running out very quickly. In some cases, a single day or less. If you're not sure how much you will need, most services offer a way to monitor your usage. Make sure to sign up with a provider that allows you to change your package and watch your usage for a while. It may be possible to limit the amount of video you watch, for example. We have already discussed that transfer speeds are measured in kilobits, megabits or gigabits. ISPs will often say something like lightning fast internet at 70 megabits per second. This will always refer to the download speed. Upload speeds are often much less. In this case, the upload speed may be in the region of 20 megabits per second. This is in part due to the limitations of the technology being used, and also down to the fact most consumers download far more content than they upload. So if you know you wouldn't be needing to upload content, for example, I regularly upload videos, make sure to keep an eye out for the upload speed as well. It may be helpful to look at reviews when selecting a new ISP. A couple of terms you may come across when you do are uptime and contention ratio. Uptime refers to the amount of time the internet connection is available. For example, if over a 100-day period the internet wasn't working due to the fault of the ISP for one of those days, then the uptime would be considered to be 99%. It doesn't always refer to days, it could be minutes, so 1 minute not working from 100 minutes would still be 99% uptime. Contention ratio refers to the number of people sharing the connection. This doesn't normally mean how many people in your home are using the internet, but relates more to how many homes are using the same connection. Common figures here are 50 to 1 or 25 to 1. Higher end business grade connections may have a 1-to-1 contention ratio, but this is seldom needed for homes. In summary, we have identified different ways to connect to the internet, including dial-up, broadband, WiMAX and satellite. We have broken down the terminology used when discussing transfer rates, such as kilobit, megabit, gigabit, and in particular, we looked at the difference between bit and byte, so how a kilobit differs from a kilobyte, for example. I've explained the term downloading, which is transferring something such as a file from the internet to your own device, and uploading, which is transferring something from your device up to the internet. And finally, I explained how to understand and compare ISP adverts when they talk about speeds and contention ratios, for example. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.